Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In this video, I want to talk about the outcome of Thursday Night Football, December 3rd. The Packers were visiting the Detroit Lions and won on a last second play, a 61-yard Hail Mary from the quarterback Aaron Rodgers to his tight end, who also shares the name Rodgers. The final score of the game was 27-23, summing to 50. We'll talk about why the length of the pass, 61 yards, and the outcome of 50 are significant. Let's begin with the number 61. Earlier this year, the Packers lost in Green Bay against the Detroit Lions for the first time since the year 1991. That's the year Brett Favre was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons 33rd overall before being traded after his rookie season to the Packers. So it had been all of Brett Favre's career and more since the Packers lost at home to the Lions, a very rare defeat in the rivalry. Notice the numerology of the date they lost on. November 15th, 2015, a date was 61 numerology, like the length of the pass. Also, 61 is not an arbitrary number. The word God in Jewish gematria equals 61. God begins with G, like the giant emblem on the side of the Packers helmet. Earlier this year, October 8th, just before Thursday Night Football, Texans and Colts, the former coach of the Packers and Colts, Lindy Infante, died. We'll talk more about that. Lindy Infante had name gematria of 61. Also, the score of 50 is interesting for the following reasons. December 3rd, 2015, the date of the game, had 50 numerology and a score summing to 50. This is also the season of Super Bowl 50. When you write out 50 as a word, it sums to 66. The San Francisco 49ers are hosting Super Bowl 50, who joined the NFL in 49, 66 years ago. From the date of the game, December 3rd, to the date of this year's Super Bowl 50, is exactly 66 days. And this is an important number in the NFL. In Jewish gematria, NFL equals 66. Also, the Packers played the Chiefs in the first ever Super Bowl, Super Bowl I, at the close of the 66th season. The Packers also played the Chiefs earlier this year on Monday Night Football, winning the game with a sum of 66 points. On the game, Rodgers had 35 attempts. Should be noted that the Packers won the first ever Super Bowl with 35 points over the Chiefs, 35-10. The numerology of the date of the first Super Bowl was 83, which is a special number in football. Football has a gematria of 83. The faces of the NFL, Peyton Manning, born on the 83rd day of the year. Tom Brady, born on August 3rd. Rodgers himself happens to be born in the year 83. Not as strong as the Manning and Brady connections, and even though Rodgers is a much better quarterback than both of them, he hasn't been given the Brady and Manning treatment throughout his career. Also, what I want to point out is that Monday Night Football, this game that took place earlier this year between the Packers and Chiefs, the acronym MNF has a gematria of 33, a very important number often to games played on Monday Night Football. The G on the side of the Packers helmet in Francis Bacon gematria represents 33. G, here's how this system works. Lowercase a through z is worth 1 through 26. Uppercase a through z is worth 27 through 52. And this system, uppercase G, is 33. I talked about Brett Favre a minute ago. Brett Favre was the 33rd overall pick in the 1991 draft. When you write out the word 33 and sum it, it sums to 66. All these little gematria numerological connections that get coded before our eyes all the time. And for the sports fan who's not aware of this language, it slips past them every time. Before the Packers lost to the Lions earlier this year at home, they put up this blurb. First time leading in Green Bay since December 9th, 2012. What's interesting about this is how all of these teams here have a 33 connection. The date of the game, 33 numerology. Lions in gematria sums to 33. The only teams with names that have 33 gematria are the Lions the Bengals, and the Seahawks. There's only one 33 city in the NFL. It's Cleveland. And the Packers, through their emblem, also have the 33 connection. Aaron Rodgers in this game, his 33rd pass went for the touchdown that made the score 16-18. They failed on the 2-point conversion, and they lost. As I watched this, I wondered if they were a second off. I wonder if he was supposed to hit that last touchdown with 33. Possibly 32 was the number, though. NFL equals 32 in simple English gematria, 32 teams. They call it America's game. America equals 32. Up here is the last time the Lions lost in Green Bay. The Lions won in Green Bay before this season. They won December 15th, 1991, when Brett Favre was a member of the Atlanta Falcons. Should be noted that Wisconsin and Georgia are the only two states in the league with 44 gematria. The Falcons in Georgia, the Packers in Wisconsin. Speaking of Brett Favre, his number was retired on Thanksgiving Day in Green Bay, and the Packers had a rare loss at home to the Bears as well. Here's what's interesting. The last time the Packers lost at home to the Bears was 2 years and 22 days earlier. Brett Lorenzo Favre, his number was retired that same night, having gematria of 222. I don't think this is any coincidence. I think this was part of a tribute to Brett Favre. You know, it's his big night, and the fans' memory that night will be of Brett Favre and not the losing quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Plus, they always said that Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers never got along that well. So, I think some other connections there besides just the numbers. As for the Brett Favre retirement, check this out. Brett Favre in gematria equals 45. The date of the retirement, 45 numerology. The Lions had won earlier that day with 45 points, talking about this triangulation between all these NFC North teams. The Cats did well that day. Lions and Panthers winning. Something else creepy about that day, they had this 44-second shot of Tony Romo on his back in Dallas. The last president to die in office was the 44th term president in Dallas. Obama is currently the 44th president. And if you're new to my work, I show how sports are often cluing us into bigger things going on in the world, like how the Patriots became America's team after September 11th in the Patriot Act. Earlier this year, Peyton Manning tied Brett Favre's record for most wins by a QB with 186. Notice that the word landmark has a gematria of 186. This was on Sunday Night Football, which is 39 is the big number on Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football equals 39. The score of the game was 29-10, a sum of 39. Peyton Manning, who won, is currently 39 years old. These numbers 33 and 39 are very important to the Freemasons, the Zionists. These are the people who run the NFL. I mentioned in the beginning the former coach of the Packers died earlier this year, Lindy Infante. Check this out, Truth Seeker. Lindy Infante sums to 61, the number we began with. Infante has the 33 coding. His death, Truth Seeker, his death was exactly 122 days before Super Bowl 50, which is in San Francisco. Look at the gematria of San Francisco, 122. Aaron Rodgers himself, born December 2nd, 12/2. Came up in the Bay Area playing his college ball at Cal. They said at the NFL draft he wore a Joe Montana jersey even though he was selected by the Packers. Another tribute the Packers got this year, playing in San Francisco on a date with 49 Numerology. 49. They played there October 4th, 2015, defeating the 49ers where the Super Bowl will be hosted. Green Bay itself has gematria of 77. 7 times 7 is 49. Also, the color green has a gematria of 49. Aaron himself, Aaron Rodgers, the starting quarterback, also a little 49 connection through the name Aaron. Earlier this year, on the only week with 44 numerology, the only two games that had anything to do with 44 were the Falcons and the Packers. Packers defeated the Seahawks 27-17, sum of 44. Falcons defeated the Giants 24-20, sum of 44. Both of these states, the only two states with 44 gematria, and the only two on that day to have outcomes with 44 points on the date with 44 numerology. A year earlier, on the week with 44 numerology, there were only two games that had to do with 44. They were won by the Ravens and the Colts, who 44 years prior to last season had won the Super Bowl as the Baltimore Colts. In the playoffs, the Patriots, being in their 44th year of being in their conference or their division, advanced over the Ravens and then the Colts. And I don't think that was any coincidence. I think that was all part of the scripting. The Packers also began their season this year playing in Chicago. They won 31-23, a sum of 54, the current age of the 44th president. Remember, Wisconsin and Georgia, the only states with 44 gematria. When Obama was running for president, these headlines came out. 44 years after JFK's death, new assassination plot revealed. And it says that JFK was nearly assassinated at Soldier Field in Chicago weeks before his November 22nd death. This article came out at the time Obama was running to be the 44th president coming out of Chicago. Do the math. These sports games, they are coded by the Masons and Zionists who control a lot more than football. They use these football rigged games as also a numerology foretelling of their future plans. And that's what I want people to wake up to. My goal with this is to get the manpower of this nation off their ass from watching these rigged, ridiculous games and get them in the streets, learning this knowledge, and taking the world back from the assholes who run it. After we do that, we can restore our sports leagues. We can have fair, unrigged competition. We can live in a better world. Until then, I hope you don't go back to the snooze button and just continue to watch this rigged bullshit. I know all sorts of men have this tendency, my father included. I've showed him this knowledge and he just goes, well, Zach, what are you going to do about it? I'd rather just enjoy the games than know this. And it's just like, my God, that sheepish attitude is why we are enslaved. We have to want more for ourselves. We need to make things better for ourselves. Here's a little more motivation if that's not enough for you Packer fans. Let's talk about Vince Lombardi, who each year the Super Bowl trophy is played for. Vince Lombardi finished his career with 96 wins, 34 losses, 6 ties. What you should know is that he died unexpectedly the day before the 1970 season began. And I guarantee you he was murdered so that his record would stay at this count. His name is now on the trophy that is awarded to the Super Bowl winner. The word Freemason has a gematria of 96. It is the Freemasons who are fascinated with the number 33 who run the NFL. The date he died on, September 3rd, which can be written 9/3 or 3/9, both of those numbers, 93 and 39, are obsessions of the Zionist. Also, what's creepy, truth seeker, is that the word trophy has a gematria of 39. Vince Lombardi is immortalized through a trophy, dying on a date with a numerology that corresponds. His 34 losses correspond with the word murder. Vince Lombardi began his football career at the military academy, and what a lot of people don't realize about football is that it was began by Freemasons and the military institution. And what most fans are subjected to when they watch football on Sundays are military commercial after military commercial after alcohol commercial after car commercial. It's all programming. It's all mind control. It's all for our detriment. If you can't see that this is not a coincidence, I don't know. I'm going to keep reaching out to you anyway because I need you to see it. This is not a coincidence. This is all rigging. One more thing, after they won the game, ESPN put up this shot, 52 seconds. Last year's Super Bowl had an outcome of 52 total points, 28-24. I said to watch out for that number. California is hosting the Super Bowl. They have gematria 52. This might all be foreshadowing for what's to come. So that's pretty much the message, Truth Seeker. Until next time.